The girls taunt the sheriff until he trembles in fear. Then, they decide to psychologically torture him by putting a single bullet in a gun, giving him 5 chances, and start playing Russian roulette as the new victims watch in horror. 2 teenagers, Sloan and Katie, hang out with their friends in the local forest and have a good time playing and teasing with one another. Then the group suggests they take drugs, loosen up, and enjoy themselves further, and pressure the reluctant Sloan to join in. After spending a relaxed afternoon, Sloan and Katie return to Katie's home, which she shares with her mother, to have a sleepover as they plan to head to Katie's uncle, FBI Special Agent Jason's house the next day, so that he will drive them to the bus station out of town. From there, the girls plan to take a bus to an organic farm in a rural town, where they have been hired to work for the next month, so that they can save up enough money to go shopping in New York. The next day, Katie bids farewell to her mother, who is also on her way to her own vacation abroad. The girls set off with Jason to his home, where they spend the night. They then head to the bus station early the next morning. In the morning, Jason drives the girls to the bus station, warns them to be careful, and before leaving, gives Katie a daily changing safety code to use when she communicates with him, and updates him on her well-being. The girls head to the local diner to wait until their bus arrives. There, they meet charming brothers Jed and Lucas, who after chatting a bit offer to drive them to the farm as it's close by. Realizing the possible dangers, Katie politely declines the offer, but is persuaded by Sloan, who strongly urges her to accept, stating how attractive the boys are and how harmless they seem. The girls then catch up to the brothers and join them in their blue pickup truck to head to the farm. After driving a few miles, the girls realize that they have passed the farm sign and try to point it out to the brothers, who seem to not care and are scared when the boys take them to their home, explaining that they're familiarizing them with the area where the farm workers come for supplies. Then during this discussion, the boys' mother, an elderly, sweet-looking lady, comes out of the house and warmly invites the girls in for some pie and tea, successfully influencing them to drop their guards with her motherly approach. The girls follow the old lady into the house, as the brothers stay back and are led into the kitchen, where they're presented with a delicious pie. As the girls enjoy the pie, Katie replies to Jason's text, assuring him that they are all right. Then the brothers come in, as the girls enjoy more bites of the pie, and Sloan suddenly makes a terrifying realization. The girls scramble out of the house and sluggishly run across the lawn, hoping to get away before it's too late. The girls' nightmare becomes a reality as they find themselves chained to individual, makeshift shipping container rooms. Jed then shows up armed with a shotgun and a few amenities, shows the terrified girls their makeshift sleeping quarters, and lays down the law, which makes the desperate girls realize that they have fallen victim to a sexual exploitation ring. The girls scream and beg Jed to help them and end the nightmare to no avail. A couple of hours later, the ringleader, a middle-aged man named Boris, comes to inspect the girls and scolds Jed for taking his blue pickup truck to pick up the girls without informing him. Then, Boris interrogates Katie about Jason's recent text on her phone, asking about their welfare, and figures out the safety code. However, Boris doesn't realize that the code must be changed daily, and ignorantly replies to Jason using the old one. Later, still chained, the girls are instructed on how to take showers. Jed watches as they attempt the difficult task and enjoys himself by watching them shriek as he points his gun at them. Moments later, to the girls' delight, the town's sheriff, Sheriff Andrews, arrives with his gun pulled out and demanding to know what is going on. However, the girls are terrified to realize that the sheriff is an insider to the horrific ring and watch in horror as he sizes them up, hoping to have his turn with them. Later that day, the sheriff goes into Katie's container and forces himself on her, which leaves her shaking and in tears as Sloan comforts her afterward. Meanwhile, Jason receives the text Boris sent from Katie's phone, realizes that the safety code hasn't been used correctly, and starts to worry, wondering if his niece is alright. Back in the woods, the brothers bring a local man to choose one of the girls to have his way with, and he chooses Sloan. He takes the still-chained girl to her container room, tells her how much he loves her, burns her with a cigarette as she screams in pain, and forces himself on her. Elsewhere, Jason calls the organic farm, learns that the girls haven't shown up there yet, and after checking around at nearby farms, decides to look into the situation. Later, as the brothers warn the girls not to even think about escaping, a howling voice echoes through the woods, which alarms them to an arrival, a man in a pig mask. The brothers cover the girls with a paper bag as they scaredly present them for the pigman to choose from. The paper bags are withdrawn, and as the girls scream in horror, the pigman chooses Sloan and takes her into her container room to take advantage of her. Afterwards, Katie goes to check on her best friend. Meanwhile, Jason comes to the police station of the small town, introduces himself to Sheriff Andrews, and shares his concern about the missing girls, which the sheriff tries to play down until he learns that Jason is an FBI agent, and his quest is supported by a misused safety code. The sheriff promises to look into the case and escorts Jason out. Boris learns of the developments from the sheriff, heads to the woods, scolds Katie for lying to him about the safety code word, and as Katie secretly overhears, orders Jed to dump Katie and Sloan where they dumped the rest of the girls, as they can't risk the FBI sniffing around in their business. In town, still suspicious about what's going on, Jason goes to the local diner by the bus station to gather more information about Sloan and Katie, and learns that the girls, accompanied by a couple of young men, had left in a classic blue truck with a unique bumper sticker on it. The next day, in the woods, as the girls sit by comforting each other, then Boris and Jed bring the local man from earlier back to the girls and leave him to choose and have his way with them. Katie then tries to chit-chat with the man and boldly comes onto him asking him to make moves on her. The man, confused by the chained girl's attitude, can't help but be enticed by the offer and tries to engage with her. The girls steal the keys to their handcuffs from the local man and unlock themselves. Moments later, Sheriff Andrews heads to the woods to pick up the girls and dispose of them, fearing the FBI is on his tail. The girls head to a local hardware shop and stock up on supplies to construct makeshift weapons. While in town, Jason charms his way into getting the information on the owner of the classic blue truck. Elsewhere, Boris gets home, and as he tries to relax, he is accosted by Katie and Sloan, who manage to subdue him, tie him face down to a table, steal his money, and taunt him as he desperately begs them for mercy. Meanwhile, having successfully tracked down the owner of the truck, Jason arrives at Boris's residence, but is held up from going in by a call from his girlfriend. Inside Boris's house, the girls continue to torture Boris into giving up the identity and whereabouts of the man in a pig mask, after which they brutally sodomize the once ringleader and leave him to bleed out. Jason tries to secure the scene and runs outside, but misses the girls by a hair as they drive away in Boris's classic blue truck. Jason takes Boris to the hospital and later learns from Sheriff Andrews that he didn't make it. As the sheriff and Jason continue discussing the case, Jason continues calling Katie's phone, but is shocked when he hears it ringing in the sheriff's pocket. The girls continue driving around and finally manage to track down the pigman, confirm his identity through his uniquely placed tattoo, and approach him. Sloan engages the man in a conversation, while Katie knocks him out from behind. The girls spend the next couple of hours driving around as if they're trying to forget what happened to them, and even look like they are enjoying themselves until they stop by a store.
4610!
The girls walk into the store and buy a match from the clerk, who is shocked to see the seemingly normal girls who are covered in blood. Sheriff Andrew takes Jason to a remote complex, ties him up in a chair, and leaves him in a room to go see another couple of innocent girls and take advantage of them. As the sheriff approaches the girls, Katie and Sloan come up from behind him and knock him out. After dealing with the sheriff, Katie and Sloan untie the new girls, send them to free Jason, and flee the area to continue with their mission. Elsewhere in Jed and Lucas's residence, their mother sips her wine and passes out before she can realize that it's been drugged. The girls then tie her to a chair, take her to the basement, place her in front of the tied up and gagged Jed, and as she watches in agony, beat her son to death. The girls then wheel the old lady to watch the tied up Lucas as they free him and order him to beat his mother to death with a bat. Lucas refuses to, and the old lady lives her nightmare as she sees her son shot to death in front of her. The old woman then tries to calm herself and starts begging the girls to spare her life. They then stage the scene to look like Lucas had killed all his accomplices before turning on himself as the old lady continues begging them for mercy and offers them money in exchange. A few weeks later, having meticulously gone through their revenge list, the girls have gone back to their lives and prepare to set off on their shopping trip to New York with all the money they accumulated. Katie's mom bid the girls farewell, told them to keep her posted on their status, and warned them to be careful in the big city. Once the girls step out, Katie's mother asks her brother if she should worry for her daughter's safety, but now sure they can handle themselves, Jason assures her that both she and Sloan would be okay. At the airport, Katie and Sloan pass by a man standing in a corner, holding a sign for an organic farm. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.